Hey guys, today I have a nice little surprise for you. Consider this a really overdue update, but this is my mom's old car. It's our 2006 Honda CR-V SE. You haven't seen this on the channel for pretty much 3 years now, and that's because, so long-time viewers who know this car, if not, if you're new, welcome, this is my mom's old car. She had a 2006 Honda CR-V SE before she had purchased the Pilot. Basically, what happened was, after she got the Pilot in 2012, my older sister had gotten accepted to medical school, and she was working in New York City, and she needed to buy a car because she was moving out to St. Louis, not St. Louis, Kansas City, in Kansas, all the way more than halfway across the U.S. So my mom was like, well, we'll sell you this car for a little family discount because we don't need it because we have a Pilot now. And my dad had the Prius at the time, and the van was dead. So they only needed 2 cars, and my brother had his own car. So in like June of, when I was in 11th grade, in June, the summer of 11th grade, she had purchased this car and used it. And she owned it for a year here, and then me and my dad drove it all the way across to Kansas City, where it lived in Kansas City, and then it lived in, and then she had rotations for med school. I'm trying to remember the history of this car because I know where it's been. It's been all over the U.S. It road tripped to Florida, where it currently lives. It's home for the holidays, but it lives in Florida now because my sister's rotations are in Florida, so that's where she is for med school for now. So this car goes where she goes, for the most part. So yeah, I haven't had a chance to video it because it hasn't been home till now. So this is 3 years later, and it pretty much is the same car. I'm a little mad because I was going to detail it, but she's going back to Florida tomorrow, and I didn't have a chance to polish it because I was upstate snowmobiling on a little vacation. So I thought they were leaving Saturday. They're leaving Friday morning, which is tomorrow. It's New Year's Eve, right? Yeah, it's New Year's Eve, and you know, she's leaving, so I didn't have time. But in terms of maintenance and reliability, I'll go ahead and get into the update. This is a 2006 CR-V SE, as I just mentioned. Since you've seen it last, it has obviously gotten 4 brand new tires. They're still Firestone Affinity Tourings. For whatever reason, these CR-Vs love that tire. It's an all-season tire. It's pretty affordable. Great tires. It had that prior to that, and then before. So the car has gone through 3 sets of tires in its life. And just actually this week, the front rotors were resurfaced and pads replaced because the brakes were going out. That was pretty affordable too. It was like $100 to have everything done. Of course, if I did it myself, because if I had time, it'd be cheaper, but whatever. The car is filthy because it drove all the way up the East Coast from Florida. They drove it all the way up here in one day. They didn't even stop to sleep. So this thing was hauling all the way up from Florida. And when we owned this car, when my mom owned it, it was primarily used as her runaround car, and it was her daily driver. But most of the miles were North Carolina miles. The car was used as a family SUV before we had the Pilot, because the Odyssey was old. We drove the Odyssey so much that by like 2007, it already had way over 100,000 miles. And we got this new in 2006. So we used it as a road trip car. So everything is tuned from North Carolina, so the car's in great shape. I mean, it's got some scratches on it, but everything's good. So you can see coming up here, the tires are brand new. They had these put on last winter. Like I said, Affinity Tourings on 16-inch painted rims that you got with the SE. I had forgotten how great these cars are to drive because the only ones we get for work are pre-refreshes with the 4-speed auto, and these with the 5-speed, and the refresh is ridiculously good. So coming down here, these door edge guards, as you can see, you know, they've been touched up, but that's just from years of parking in parking lots. There's nothing you can do about that. Full power sunroof. The refresh did get XM radio, so you have the XM antenna back here, and as well as the body color bumpers and spare tire. I have 2 sisters. Back when my other sister was in high school, she had a little run-in the senior parking lot and did this with the back bumper. I touched it up back in the day. To have this bumper replaced was ridiculous amount of money. For whatever reason, parts for this car are very expensive, so I touched it up. It looks like crap, but it's whatever. This car is almost 10 years old at this point. I do need to dress the trim. The car will be home in the springtime. I'm gonna do everything to it, but it still cleans up just as good as it did on video 3 years ago. I mean, it's been very good. As you can see, Everything back here is the same, right down to the stickers. And you can tell this car's been all over the place because this is from North Carolina, this is from Florida, this is from North Carolina. There's a sticker in the front windshield from Kansas City. There's one from Florida. There's a Sun Pass from Florida. I mean, this car has been our, like, whatever, everywhere car. Back in the day, my mom had a Class 2 trailer hitch put in. What happened was we had purchased a Sea-Doo jet ski, which we still have. And the Odyssey was too old. They were afraid to tow with it because of the transmission problems those have. So this was our tow car, and it was great. It was actually pretty good for that, but due to the towing, and we constantly overloaded it because it was too small for our family. Driving to North Carolina, we torched both rear wheel bearings. So that was like $2,000 to have replaced. You know, this is back when I was in high school. So like I said, all this stuff is old. So I mean, in terms of reliability, the only thing that was done to it was, you know, in terms of repairs, was the rear wheel bearings, and this week was the AC compressor. I'll get to that. I'm trying to like do this, but I'm trying to remember everything at the same time. So you can see this one has the beige leather interior with perforations, and it's the same as it was. Everything's holding up great. My sister does clean it every now and then. These seats could use a conditioning, but like I said, they're still in great shape. There's a little more wear and some cracking going on over here. It looks a lot worse on camera than it is. It's just because the car is dirty and it's nighttime, and the Canon cameras don't do that good at night. Door panel's the same. Perforated leather, you know, brown vinyl, you know, hard plastic. Everything is the same. The interior quality in this is actually pretty good. It's kind of like the 05 Civic / 7th Gen Accord build quality. The car did have the airbag recall done on it, if anybody's wondering. You got a little lighted keyhole. There's a good old K24 2.4 liter. This vehicle was like my childhood car. When my mom was raising me, this is what we drove around in, so it's kind of weird for me to be driving it. The GPS was up here. It kept falling down in the hot weather in Florida, so she put it down here. It's not my car, and that's where she likes the GPS better because it's out of the way, so that's where she wants it. I like it better up here, but whatever. She's got a tape adapter because it's the old school 2006 head unit. 6-disc CD changer and a 6-speaker audio system. The sound in this car is awesome. In fact, my favorite thing about this CR-V is the sound, is not only the sound system, but the way this car steers, accelerates, and brakes. It is just so responsive. I mean, you can zip around in this thing. You can tackle a corner, you can... I mean, the newer CR-Vs are just unrivaled. I don't care what anybody says. People used to argue with me. If you want a CR-V for a driver, get a 2nd gen refresh. I'm telling you, they're great. Especially if you can find one with a stick shift. I mean, they're just... This was when Honda had the CR-V and it sold millions because they were so good. Leather wrap steering wheel, and you got your cruise control and audio controls over here. They aren't lighted, it's an older design, like I said. Coming over here, traction control, cruise control, and the old style sunroof controls. If you had fog lights or lived in Canada where they came standard, they would be here. I would like to add fogs to this car, and I'm not going to say anything now, but there may be an opportunity for me to be not owning this car, but driving it for an extended period of time next winter while my sister's away. Maybe she'll get some fog lights. I don't know yet. Anyway, as you can see, mileage is 91,743. This car's a baby. I mean, she didn't, because she's in med school, the driving, and once we got it, you know, to Kansas City, it didn't really go much. She took it to the store maybe once, twice a week. And now that she's in Florida, she drives a lot more, so the mileage has been going up. But when we got rid of it, it was around 78 to 81. I can't quite remember. So low miles, clean. You know, really it's a one owner. It's in the family. Heated seats for driver and passenger, single stage. Got your e-brake. And the air conditioning down here was a common problem on these. The compressor went out, and I'm not going to lie, I was a little pissed at this car. It's like $1,000. Not at the dealership to have the AC replaced. If you go to the dealer, they're going to charge you $3 grand because they want to replace everything with the AC. But the compressor alone is $800, and due to the location on this car, it's kind of buried underneath the it's on the serpentine belt, obviously, but it's buried below the alternator and everything on the bottom right-hand side. They get pelted with rocks and they get hot and burn out. It was a recall, but this car is too old and the miles are too high, so we had to pay to have that done. The brakes, an oil change, and the AC work, and it got a new serpentine belt. All that came up to like $1,130, which honestly, for a car this, you know, of this stature, is really not terrible. It was the second big repair we had to make to it. The first was the wheel bearings, which, like I said, was our fault, and the second was the air conditioning, which was Honda's fault. So crappy air conditioners, and Yeah. In terms of the interior, leather wrap wheel, everything's holding up very good. Nothing in here I've noticed has looked worse. I have not personally seen this car since we dropped it off in Kansas City 3 years ago either. So I've been driving it around while she's home. I took it to work a few times. It drives just as I remember it. It's such a good car. This light bulb burned out. I'm going to change it for her. Down in here, all the owner's history, everything, owner's manuals. You know, we keep everything clean and tidy. I love this rubberized storage thing. And of course, hard touch materials, but it's the old Honda quality. And those of you who know these cars know. Got a little rodent for my sister's dog, a soda, a water. It's a daily driver. It's in daily driving format. CRV floor mats, those actually held up great. They're really not that dirty. There's a couple spots I need to steam out. Like I said, I haven't had time. It's whatever. You can see it's running great. In fact, the only thing on the exterior I've noticed in the last 3 years that changed was this gravity-sized door ding that I have to fix. I can get this taken care of. This summer I'm going to really clean this car up and get a good video. Back seat, she doesn't really have backseat passengers very often, usually just her dog. That's why she has a towel down. But that's all in great shape. Padded armrest with cup holders. You get the flip-down table. Power sliding tilt and sunroof, obviously. Everything is, you know, the same. And I'm sorry if I sound a little melatonin in this video. I've been very busy all day. I love this car. As you can see, 60/40 split fold seat, and they do tumble forward as well. Get another light. And then under here, of course, another favorite thing is the table is still there with the cooler. They use it to go tailgating all the time. Trunk structure is still good, as you can see. When they put the trailer hitch in, they did have to lower the muffler a little bit and customize the exhaust hooks so it didn't rattle. That's why the muffler looks a little lower than it would be on a regular one. Yeah, so you can hear she's running great. I'll go ahead and pop the hood for you, and then we'll just take it for a test drive. I'm going to try and do it all in one take. And you can see what I mean about the cladding. A little Mother's back to black and it'll match. The bumper was replaced back in high school. We were on our way back from North Carolina at like 4 in the morning and clocked deer on this side. It put a nice big dent here and took out the inner fender liner. We had that all replaced at a body shop. Paint is matched, and they did paint these as well. They're painted fog inserts. I wanted them to do that because it looks better. However, from Florida sun and rocks from road tripping, as you can see, it's kind of peeling, which is disappointing, but this is all stuff that can be taken care of, and it will be taken care of, because this car is expected to be in the family for another like 6 years. She is a med school student, so she won't be buying a new car for any time soon. You can see we got a dirty K-Series under here, still running like she used to. Brand new serpentine belt, changed the oil, put a new battery in it. Runs great, no problems. So actually, you know what we'll go ahead and do is I'm just going to slide you guys under the headrest and take you for a quick drive. This car does have side airbags as well. I'm all over the place in this video, I know. This is the only opportunity that I have to make it before it goes away. Whoops. All right. Here. And like I said, one of my favorite things about this car is the way it drives. For a small SUV, Honda nailed it with this thing. There's an easy pass and a sun pass in here because Florida has to be different and unique. But it's so crazy being able to drive this car for so many years, and after all that work was just done to it, it still drives so nice. It's just some stuff I have to run to the store to return. And the sound system is amazing. I think, I was thinking about it this afternoon, I think Honda stole the speakers from a 7th gen Accord and put them in here with this head unit, because it sounds just like a 7th gen Accord. And those of you who've been in 7th gen Accords, the stereo is ridiculously good in them. Now it's an old CRV, so they're prone to road and wind noise. I actually did just adjust these two front doors. There's a trick you can do with these hinges on these to make them squeeze the weather stripping a little better. So wind noise actually has gone down in this particular model a lot because I know what I'm doing. But there is a good amount of road noise, and you know, it rides a little firm, but it's got like, for a small SUV, the body roll is like almost non-existent. The hydraulic power steering, right out of an Accord, it's so snappy and good. And the transmission is, I'm going to show you when we leave this light how quick the transmission is to shift. It's so good. I mean, this car is so responsive. And it lets the motor rev out all the time too. I mean, this is normal acceleration, it's revving at 3,500 RPMs. I'm going 50, and then it'll drop down to 1,500 RPM. On the highway, 80, it revs around 2,400. It's a very good transmission. That's what really is making this car. I have yet to drive them with a stick shift, but it's probably just as good. The way Honda geared this car was very smart. Pretty much all 5 gears are made to utilize this engine's power to the max, because it's 2.4 liter in a little larger car than it's used to be hauling. And a little kick down here. It's not the fastest car in the world, but the way it delivers its power is so fun. It's fun to drive. And that's what really is my takeaway with this thing. And you know, it's held up great too. This is like one of my favorite Hondas made. The 05, 06 SEs are great. Go ahead and get on the highway here. And of course it is a Honda, so it does do the typical little tranny whine coming out of first gear. You can see it rides real smooth. I know this isn't the best video, this was the only video I can get of this car at this time on New Year's Eve at night. I'm a little annoyed just because I completely forgot that she was leaving tomorrow, and I really wanted to get this car so shined up, but that's alright. And I gave her some new wiper blades for Christmas too, so those are good. And another thing to note about these is the brake feel. These brakes were just redone, so they feel great, but very sharp brake pedal. I mean, just when you tap the brakes, it's right there. When I first got back in this car after she had driven back up from Florida, it did feel a little tired on the brakes just because the pads were, I want to say they were original. I think we did have the back brakes done with the wheel bearings, but the front brakes were original to the car, which is pretty impressive for 91,000 miles. And it towed a trailer too. And it drove through Manhattan and everything, so the brakes were definitely due for a replacement. I pretty much had to push the pedal to the floor to get the freaking thing to stop. Oh, there goes the water. Good thing there's a cap on it, that would have sucked. I'm gonna hijack this from her.